Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. We are living in a strange time, and I'm sure that it's been told many other times in the past and in the past centuries. Nothing of what I'm saying is much different what the people from the past might have thought about life, about existence, and about humanity silliness that transmute, unfortunately, in cruelty and no sense. We live a mystery we call existence. We don't know, really few have the knowledge of why we exist, and even those few people might know only something that have been purposely told them. So at the end of the day, it makes sense what I'm saying. We all live something that we cannot explain. I'm sure you have heard from me or from many others about people that had a life that a near-death experience. They come back, they tell they met some entities, they told them about the meaning of life, why we reincarnate, and so on. But as much I like to believe that, at the end of the day, that's something that might be a story that they tell us just to give us a meaning to live, because we all have different beliefs, but what they always kind of like haunted me is I understand all the concept of reincarnation, like learning lessons and so on, but what always kind of like killed me is always this thought, and I'm sure many others has, if this so-called God or superior entity or like whoever was able to create humanity did really need create that, and they tell me, obviously, the story that we are being created so that we can learn lessons, and then some says go back to the source God, or to become like the source God. But what always kills me is, if this God, source, or whatever you want to call it, is so immensely powerful, why I say he, but we don't know what it is. So if it really it's so powerful, does it need companionship, friendship, or to create other entity to become like it? So I don't think it has any issue of sort of like loneliness. I don't think he has that kind of problem. So I don't think it's lonely. I don't think he needs friends. So if it's it knowing why it needs to create this, so obviously we don't know. And even the people I interview, or the story I read of people that was able to access those information, still what it's told to us is still again something that we don't know if to be the true, or, and even if it's the truth, still why the need of us to exist. But I think it's something that so many of us in the centuries that humanity existed is being asked. And that's the reason why, a long time ago, I reached a point where I kind of like stopped asking this question, and because like the idea of getting out of the game earlier, that the so-called suicide is not an easy thing, because I know the things that humans are built, it's to resist the idea of come out from the game earlier. So I put it in this way because it sounds less dramatic. So obviously, if this option is so hard to achieve, then seems like we have no choice than play the game. So play the game is not fun, at least in the way that it's been structured, like from some of this so-called humanity. And personally, I reached a point that you think, if all of this is temporary, as we know it is, then nothing that's really important. I mean, for me to become the most famous barista in London or in Europe or in the world, and have and get recognitions, what's the point of? There is no point. For me to become the richest business owner, or the richest and most powerful being in London or in this planet, and having control over resources and people, what's the point if it's all temporary, right? So I'm not interested in any of this, because I know that it's just temporary, and none of that is of real importance. So I guess that when you reach this kind of understanding, that everything is temporary, you will be gone, nothing of this has a real importance, I guess you are left with two choices. One is going wild and being all the worst things, like a few are doing. And those few are the ones that basically owns probably the 90% of the world resources, and they are the ones that basically are having the resources. They can manipulate events, and they can manipulate people behavior, and basically can have the power, the resources to literally treat us like little puppets and little slaves. That's what they're doing. That's how the school system is built, working system, and so on. Or then you have like a small percentage that I think to be part, that decided that wants to just go through this mystery, but doing good. So as much as we can, trying to be like as decent as possible. So trying to don't take advantage of people, trying to not exploiting people, and trying as much as we can in the way we can to make other people's life better. So I don't know if I'm achieving this, but that's what I want. and that's a real, let's say, small percentage, but that I feel strongly is growing. And the feeling is, as this small percentages it's growing, makes sense that all around feels like it's falling apart, because I see it as a way to repress and change the course of people thinking due to crisis, economic crisis, because one the way we've been enslaved is believing in this economic system of trading our time for money and using those money to buy things. And I personally could see a change in people thought and consciousness especially in the last 10 years, with people discussing more openly and many more people talking about wanted to focus on their spirituality, on their health, trying to, well, I can see with the social enterprises, so those businesses where money are not just merely a tool to buy objects, but are used to actually help and benefit other people. So I can see that there is a growing interest to make other people's lives better. There was this growing trend of trying to reduce working hours. So all of this is now temporarily installed because we've been we've been taken to a mess. For people that has the eyes and the time and the critical thinking, it's obvious that what's happening is not an accident. Brexit, COVID, the so-called climate change, war in Ukraine and Russia, war in Israel and Palestine, and this is what the mainstream media keep telling you, because there are wars in Yemen, there is wars in Africa, there are wars in Asia, and there are wars in Europe, many more. So it's all of this. It's for me clearly a way to manipulate events, so to distract the people from this growing trend of going through this mystery, making other people's life better. And it worked for some of us. Some others that was already on the path understand fully what's going on. You look at the sky, and you can see how the weather is being manipulated with the so-called chemtrails. So obviously, if you don't see it, that's what I'm saying right now is just some random crazy talk of a random man on the internet. But if you have the eyes to see it, and if you are kind of like, for whatever reason, you're thinking out of the box for whatever reasons, you can see clearly that it's not random accidents, it's all been brought to a point of actions and reactions to create what we are in. Because when you are pushing people to worry about survival, there is no more thoughts than just try to survive. That's what is happening right now, making sure that people thoughts are redirected to a rest spot, and this rest spot is the survival mode, so that no one can think about anything else than surviving. Now, I strongly believe more than ever that we are naturally good. We are naturally good. And if left with, if left alone with enough to live, you know. So that means that enough food, enough to pay the rent or own house, knowing that you can work, but at the same time you can have enough and no worrying about the future. Naturally, we tend to try to help and not to take. We try to give more than just take, because naturally we tend to cooperate, because I believe that we are naturally built good and not bad. But if you put someone against the wall, with the only force to survive, then you are basically psychologically know that they will turn out selfish and only thinking about themselves to survive. It is how the system is, how it is built in purpose. Again, when we had like a relatively small time period where people, even they were not earning a lot, but they were left to enjoy life without worrying, without worries for the future. Now, it was all fake because we still had wars all around the world, but it was a period where we've been made to believe that that society was kind of like okay, with no really big worries, and that's where we were heading slowly, naturally. We were evolving. That's how, like I said before, talking more about how we could help each other, talking about focus to our health and spirituality. And it was just naturally, because we are naturally good. So we all the same. We all have 2 arms, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, 2 legs. What change might be someone is more tan, someone less tan, someone tends to have a more olive skin, or some, what change is just the colors and the shape of our faces. Doesn't make us different. It's just the external skin. Inside, we literally exactly all the same. You remove that tan skin, or you remove that pink, they call it white, but you remove that pink skin, you are just bones. You're just a skeleton. The skeleton is not black, yellow, white. The skeleton is a skeleton. The skeleton is exactly the same of anyone else. Once you fill inside that skeleton with a heart, liver, that's how they created us, right? We're all the same. Everybody has 1 heart, 2 livers, maybe 1. But we all have the same blood, we all have the same cells that works exactly all in the same way. So we all need to sleep, eat, pee, take a shit. So it's for me obvious that we are all the same. But we naturally know that, and naturally we evolving in that direction, but we have a small percentage of people that probably thinks the same as I am thinking, but they choose the to just do evil. They just decided that if they have to live temporary, they want to have everything and enjoying everything, have owns and have everything, even people. And in the way our society is structured, to do that and have a control over people, you need to divide them, and you need to put them one against each other. You know, there are many ways to do it. I mean, we are human softwares. Whatever you teach the software or the so-called baby, it will just replicate. The difference with computer software is that we've been programmed to interact with others, and in the big program that is called humanity, everything's has a reaction. So every action, so even interaction has a reaction that can lead to different different path, different actions. But you need to create a program where all those interactions are well programmed. So if you know that, then all you need to do is to be wealthy enough to control the heart of the program of the human software, that is the education. And that's how we've been made to believe that, I am one race different than another race. I'm from one country that is different than another country, and we've been put one against each other. We've been made to believe that one imaginary, like God, is different than another imaginary God. We've been put one against each other. So it's so easy to program a human being. You just do it when you are a baby, when you haven't been programmed yet. So you just download any shit you want to download. So obviously, if you can do that, if you can make someone to believe in an imaginary God, to an imaginary nationality, to an imaginary passport, to an imaginary identity, you can make everyone believe in whatever fucking you want. And automatically you can make them to believe to be different and to fight against each other. We're all one, we're all the same, it's exactly all the same, we're all brothers, we're all sisters. And then we believe we're gonna reach that point. Why we have to, obviously, to live this existence as better as possible. Why we have to, again, is a mystery. But a mystery that it's lived in solidarity. It's a mystery that it's easier to accept. Alright, getting ready to go. And see you in the next story.